Hey everybody, good evening. Rachel Bogle here at the WMBF First Alert Desk. As always, I have my Facebook stream up, so if you are tuning in on Facebook, as I see a couple folks joining in right now, feel free to say hello in the comments. Just let me know where you're tuning in from. Of course, if you have any questions or you'd like to know any additional details about any of the stories we're about to go through, because we have some big ones today that came in as breaking, feel free to ask in the comments. And if I know the answers for you right off the top of my head, I can provide them right here for you in real time. If we don't, though, we can certainly add those questions to our list of things to follow up on. So feel free to chime in. Hello, April. Thank you for joining. Good to see you there in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. All right, so while you guys do that, let's go ahead and get into it today because, like I said, we have a whole lot going on today, including some breaking stories. Hey there, Janet, as we're getting into it. All right, so starting with this one. So this one came in as breaking news earlier today here. An Horry County police officer has been fired in connection to the investigation into that 2023 deadly shooting along Camp Swamp Road. So the department says Patrol Division Sergeant Paul Vescovi has been terminated following an internal investigation. So Horry County Police say Vescovi was on the scene the night authorities say Scott Spivey, who you're looking at pictures of there on your screen, that is who that gentleman is. So Scott Spivey was the man shot and killed in an apparent road rage shooting, and the man who allegedly fired the shot, according to authorities, was North Myrtle Beach restaurant owner Weldon Boyd, who claimed that he fired those shots in self-defense. So there's a lot more to it where you can get all of the details on that as well online on our website. But let's get back to this aspect of it here. So going back to that, an internal review reportedly uncovered still unspecified misconduct or conduct that's being described as, quote, unbecoming of an officer, as well as violations of the Horry County Employee Conduct Guidelines. But as of right now, we don't know exactly what kind of conduct that was as related to Vescovi, and as of right now, no criminal charges have been filed in that case. We do know Vescovi had been with the department for 23 years, but again, today, the Horry County Police Department confirms he has been fired. So last month, you may remember, we told you the department's now former Deputy Chief, Brandon Strickland, resigned when he learned about an internal investigation into alleged misconduct and policy violations. And that investigation also centered around this same deadly shooting on Camp Swamp Road. And we're told that one is still ongoing. And as of late last month, which we also reported on here on WMBF News, SLED had also launched an investigation into Strickland. So as I said a few moments ago, there are so many layers to this situation, and we have been following it for you since the very beginning when that deadly shooting took place back in fall of 2023. So there is a whole lot to catch up on. If you want to go ahead and kind of go through some of that, you can catch up on all of our reporting over on WMBFnews.com, and we go even more deeply into all of this, you know, from the shooting itself, the investigation itself, of course, the Strickland, the latest updates today regarding Vescovi. We have even more details for you over on WMBFnews.com. All right, again, that was not the only breaking news or big update we got today. Another one was also a news conference that happened earlier today as well. So this one, we're also talking about an incident that really has been highly talked about all over social media. And of course, we've been covering it for you since last week, and you've likely heard about this. We're talking about that deadly officer-involved shooting right in the heart of downtown Myrtle Beach. And we got new updates today regarding that shooting, which again happened last weekend. So today, let me go ahead and push this forward there. There we go. So today, Mayor Brenda Bethune, who you see there, as well as Police Chief Amy Prock, held a joint news conference that happened this afternoon. Both of them say the investigation into that shooting will take some time because of the size of the scene and the number of people involved. So mind you, here we're talking about right in the heart of downtown Myrtle Beach, you know, not super far from where the Skywheel is, just a very, very popular tourist destination, and we're starting to get into the busy season. So as you can imagine, there was quite a crowd down there. So that's going to make things more complex. So Both of them, both Proc and Mayor Bethune, say the Myrtle Beach Police Department is cooperating with the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which is the lead agency conducting that investigation. And just for reference, that is normal protocol anytime there's an officer involved shooting. Obviously, if Myrtle Beach police officers are in any way involved in a shooting, they cannot investigate it themselves. So that could open themselves up to conflict of interest. That is when things go to SLED, so the State Law Enforcement Division. So again, that is normal. So Chief Proc also confirming information we received yesterday from SLED that 18-year-old Jarius Davis was a gunman who allegedly opened fire into a crowd along Ocean Boulevard near 9th Avenue North shortly before midnight Saturday night. So she says a still unnamed Myrtle Beach police officer saw Davis allegedly actively shooting into that crowd and returned fire, hitting Davis, who was pronounced dead at the scene. So Chief Proc says 11 people were also injured as a result of that gunfire, but didn't really clarify the nature of those injuries. So we don't know, were they all shot? That's not what that means. So that gunshot-related injuries really can vary quite dramatically from being hit by shrapnel, being grazed by a bullet. There's a whole lot to it. So what we do know, though, because she did clarify, is that 10 of the 11 people hurt, those injuries are considered non-life-threatening. However, one of those 11, their injuries are said to be critical. We also know the victims range in age between 13 and 43 years old, and both Mayor Bethune and Chief Proc reiterated that the investigation is ongoing. Both say, though, once that SLED investigation is complete, they say they will be transparent and they will provide more information about the findings. And of course, we don't know how long it's going to take because they were very clear about that. There's not really a timeline on this, but we certainly here at WMBF News will keep you updated as soon as any new information is released and it comes into our newsroom. I'm going to pop myself up just for a moment here, April, up in Thurman, North Carolina. I don't think I've ever heard of that town. So what? I'd have to go check you out on a map and see where you live. So thank you for joining. And then Janet, also good to see you as well. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about another story. This is one that our Stephen Schlink was on for us today. And again, just such a sad story here for this young lady's family, for all of her friends. So we're getting new details on a shooting that claimed the life of an 18-year-old high school senior who you're looking at right here. So we've learned this victim, identified as Janiyah Richburg, was a star athlete. I mean, you can see that here by all of the pictures of her, in her jersey and just being very accomplished. You can tell there. She was recognized as a 3A All-State recipient and a 3-time Region Player of the Year in basketball. She also played volleyball. She was a track and field athlete, just such an accomplished young lady. So here's what we know about that shooting. So Conway police say they were called to a home in the 1700 block of Horry Street Tuesday night, where they say they found Richburg with critical injuries. The deputy coroner says she was pronounced dead in that home after being hit by a bullet that came through the window. So far, police have yet to announce any arrests or publicly narrow down any suspects in connection to Richburg's death. We do know Horry County Schools did confirm that she was a Loris High School student, a senior again, and we also got to hear some words that Stephen shared with us from a young lady who described herself as her best friend, and she wasn't comfortable going on camera. Obviously, being a young person, it's a very difficult situation to go through, but she did share some really beautiful words describing her friend and how much she will miss her, and promises they made to stick together. So if you'd like to go ahead, he really did great reporting on this, so I would urge you, if you would, to go over to WMBFnews.com and take a look at that and just kind of read more about this young woman and how her friends and loved ones are paying tribute to her. So in the meantime, though, police have yet to announce any arrests or publicly narrow down any suspects in connection to Richburg's death. So if anyone out there has any information, you are asked to call the Conway Police Department. All right, going to pop myself back up here again, and we're going to kind of lighten things up here for just a moment because that certainly was very, very heavy. So let's talk about a good update here when it comes to some J1 housing. So today we did get a look inside the brand new J1 housing dormitory, which is set to open to residents next week. And so we got a little bit of a preview here. So this is a 4-story building right at the corner of Mr. Joe White Avenue and Robert Grissom Parkway. It's got 300 brand new beds inside, along with a common area for lounging. Each room comes with a microwave, a full-size refrigerator, private bathroom, all the stuff that you would hope for in kind of a dorm-style housing complex, right? So if you're not familiar with the J1 program, a J1 student is a foreign national who comes to the U.S. to participate in a work and study-based exchange visitor program. Many of them really are an integral part of our hospitality industry here in the Grand Strand, particularly during the really busy summer season. So the issue, though, that they had been running into for quite a while now is just accessible housing options. They had been few and far between, and many of those J1 student workers just struggled to find housing options. So this new dorm style complex has really been highly anticipated, and we've been watching this since they broke ground on it. And finally, we're seeing it come to the finish line now, and we're told those J1 students will begin moving in next Saturday. So a great addition and really right in time for the busy summer season to get underway. All right, going to pop myself up here. We do not have video or photo for this next story here. We're just going to tell you what we know, because right now the Darlington County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help, anyone out there, to try and get to the bottom of an armed robbery in the Hartsville area. So we are told deputies responded to a convenience store on East Carolina Avenue yesterday. However, investigators say 2 armed men wearing masks and hoodies ran away from the scene before deputies could get there. So, if you have any information about this robbery, you are asked to call the Darlington County Sheriff's Office. That number is 843-398-4501. All right, so before we get to talking about what we are watching for you new at 11, let's go ahead and talk about that forecast, because we've been pretty spoiled here in the past several days, even though we certainly do need rain. As you can see there on our 10-day, we do have some chances coming up because we do need it. I know some of us, like myself, we cannot wait until summer, but certainly our grass, especially the wildfires still burning out there at 90% containment in Carolina forests. We certainly do need some rain to help us out here. So as we're looking ahead, though, over the next several days, you can get ready for even more warm weather. We're going to kind of crank up the humidity as well. So we are certainly getting a bit of a taste of summer here as we are moving our way toward the weekend, though. We're going to start bumping up our chances to see some showers and thunderstorms. So looking ahead, though, through the next few days, as we're looking to Thursday and Friday, we're talking temperatures around 80 at the beaches, mid to upper 80s there in our inland areas. And then tomorrow, we're going to be very, very close, right up there at 82. So nice and warm. But as we kind of go through Friday and move through the week, we're going to bump up that humidity even more. So as you're going outside, you're going to notice it feeling a bit more muggy. And then when it comes to shower, so at first, a couple days ago, we had been watching kind of that Friday into Saturday, but now our First Alert weather team says we're kind of shifting those rain chances. Now we're looking more so at later in the day, Saturday, and then our best chances will actually be more likely to arrive during the day on Sunday. So they say do not cancel any outdoor plans if you have them. It's just more reason to make sure you have the First Alert weather app downloaded on your phone, and just to kind of keep track of it, just to see when and if those shower chances are going to arrive in your area, because it's going to be kind of hit and miss and kind of spotty. So certainly something you're going to watch, but they say do not cancel any of those plans. You will still have plenty of opportunities to get outside and enjoy being outdoors. All right. Now that we have that and you know how to make all of those plans as we work our way through the rest of the week, let's talk about what we are following for you new at 11. And this is another one where maybe you can help authorities with this one, because right now, in the South Strand, the search is on for a missing woman. So again, try and get a good look here. I'll just pop that picture up here. The Georgetown County Sheriff's Office says 60-year-old Sheila Lacey vanished this afternoon. That is a look at her right there on your screen. Deputies say she was last seen walking north on South Waccamaw Drive after leaving the Gulfstream Cafe in Garden City. So if you recognize her or know where she could be or have any information that could help, you're asked to reach out to the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office right away. And of course, we'll keep you updated if we learn any new information regarding her disappearance or any updates, and hopefully a positive update when she is found. So again, in the meantime, though, if you have any information, you're asked to call the sheriff's office, and hopefully you're able to help her reunite with her family. All right, so that is a look at some of the big stories that we are watching for you today, but there is so much more where that comes from. If you are able to stay up a little bit later with us to join us on air tonight for WMBF News at 11 in just under about an hour, about 50 minutes at this point. So hopefully you're able to stay up with us, but for now, that'll do it here from the WMBF First Alert Desk. Have a good rest of your night. See you soon.